Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 6 and 7. Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be reviewing episodes 6 and 7 of The Ambassadors of Death, and then I'll be talking about the story as a whole. This was, of course, sent to me recently by one of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, and I appreciate him sending this. He's been a huge supporter of the channel. It's much appreciated. I like episode 6. All the pieces are slotting into place over the course of the story. The interesting thing about this is watching this episode not all at once, taking breathers between them, is making me appreciate it more. It's definitely not a story you just want to power through all 7 parts straight. That's when it feels like it drags and it can get kind of boring. The Ambassadors of Boredom, I used to call it. A good 4 or 5 parter stretched into 7 parts. I've always said, you really just don't need to watch this one all the way through in one sitting. Because, classic Doctor Who's honestly just not made to be viewed that way. It just legitimately was not originally made to be viewed that way. But taking breaks with it, like I watched episode 1 one day, a few days later I watched 2, 3, 4, and 5, but I at least took breaks in between to do the reviews and have a minute before I went to the next episode, and then waiting another day to watch episode 6, and then I'll probably watch episode 7 after this. That does make it more a lot easier to digest, to where the story is feels like it's filling out its runtime well. First off, the cliffhanger of the episode, that's a heck of a cliffhanger. When we find out the general, of course, is behind it, we knew anyway. But the bit when he goes to kill the Doctor, he was supposed to kill you. Well, he disobeyed your orders. Well, I'll have to rectify that. It's my duty. And that shot, those different shots of the gun in the Doctor's face, where it's just fast, different camera shots, and you just see it end on. I was like, that's an intimidating cliffhanger. That's a cliffhanger that makes you... There's some interesting cliffhangers in this one. Also, I still love the way the intro is done on this one. I like how in season 7 they did different things with the intro. How it has kind of the start of the intro, then it does the episode reprisal, and then you just get Ambassadors of Death right in your face as the music kicks back in. I'm like, that's cool. That's attention getting. I like that. So I like seeing more of the pieces slide into place about what's going on with the Doctor landing on the alien ship, which I'm going to be honest, that alien ship looks a bit naughty, doesn't it? I think it looks a bit naughty. Like, maybe whoever watched that episode was like, when he was designing Terror of the Vervoid, said, I wonder if I can get away with that. But meeting the aliens there, learning that the astronauts are indeed safe, they just think they're on Earth, learning that the only reason the aliens are doing what they're doing is because some of their ambassadors have been abducted. Like, where are our ambassadors? And you see John, ambassadors, as he's putting 2 and 2 together and getting 4, seeing kind of what the aliens look like, which is a bit disturbing for it to be sure, but they're aliens, hey. So there's definitely some room for updated effects there. The scene when the 3rd Doctor is in the capsule, when he first gets taken on the alien ship and he's getting out of the capsule in the alien ship and walking. That has aged very badly. Very badly. There's definitely some cleanup. See, you could do some updated effects there. Just a whole lot of updated effects with him getting out of the ship and walking toward the light. Yeah, lots of updated effects. To, of course, the one guy who's kind of the rogue bad guy who does his own thing, kidnapping the Doctor, but keeping him alive because he figures he can use him. I enjoyed this one, actually, just watching the pieces slot into place as you're going, that 3-watt bulb in my head going, I've seen it before, so I know, but it's still cool just how they dribble things out over the course of the story. I'm surprised at how well it's filling out its runtime, because I never thought I would say that about the Ambassadors of Death. But watching it in pieces and at least taking breaks in between it really makes it a better viewing experience for me. So that's kind of my thoughts on episode 6, really. I forgot to mention in episode 5 the colorization looked better, because I know episode 5 was the only one back in the day they could fully recolor by using footage from the North America tapes. and the colors do look a lot more solid on it than it does in like a lot of the episodes where they had to use the chromia dot recovery, because that's a very dodgy process. Even the Mind of Evil looks a little rough. So the color matching with the American or the North American tape seems to work better to me than the chromia dot recovery, because even here in episode 6, a lot of the face colors look off. They look grayish in places. So I did think episode 5, the colorization looked better than a lot of the other surviving episodes, besides episode 1, of course. So that's about it for episode 6. I'll be back and we'll talk about episode 7 and the full story. And let's talk about part 7 of the Ambassadors of Death. But first, I have forgot to mention we have Benton. I believe Ambassadors of Death is the first time Benton pops up in the Pertwee era. Of course, he's also in the Invasion, but I think this is where he really becomes a recurring character, because I don't think he was in Silurians. And of course, I love Benton. I think everybody likes Benton. I think Benton's the most likable character in Doctor Who, possibly. Just love Benton. Nobody ever has anything bad to say about Benton. And he doesn't get a lot to do here, but he does have a couple key moments, like realizing there's an SOS he needs to tell the Brigadier about. So it's nice to see him. I'm always happy to see Benton. So huge shout out to Benton. I like how everything wraps up in episode 7. The one bad guy who's kind of the bad guy, I'm surprised he gives up that easily when his weapon gets shot out of his hand. And then, of course, how are we going to take back the base? And he's like, well, why don't you use them, pointing to the aliens? And they're like, that's a good idea. And he's like, just remember who thought of it. Like, he knows what side his bread's buttered on. And, well, I might as well try to get out of this as best I can. Kind of surprised he gave up that easy. Or maybe he was just being practical. But I enjoyed the ending. Everything, again, fell in place the way it needed to. I like the cast a lot. That really sells me on this. The cast is good. The guy playing the bad general is good. Like, he's kind of a sympathetic figure, because, again, he thinks he's doing the right thing. It's his moral duty, as he says roughly 70,000 times these last 2 episodes. And I like the fact that at least the Doctor understood. The Doctor didn't agree with it, but he understood. Like, he tells him, yes, I understand. Even if you got it wrong, I understand. And I love the idea that it is friendly aliens. That it's the humans that are the bad guys. Well, a certain faction of the humans. And the aliens have peaceful intentions. I like that. I like that little twist on the Pertwee formula of an alien invasion. That it's not an alien invasion. I love that. That the general's trying to make it look like it's an alien invasion. That's pretty cool. I enjoyed that little twist on that formula. Is it still overly long? I'd say yes. I think maybe you could have cut off an episode somewhere and done it as a 6-parter. But it's not mind-numbingly, excruciatingly long, like I have said before. I think, again, watching it, spacing it out a little bit, at least taking a break or breather between episodes really helps. Because the story's not made to be watched all in one sitting. It was made to be watched, 1 episode per week. So I think, at least giving yourself a 15-20 minute breather in between episodes, like me doing the reviews, really helped this one. I still feel like the ending's a bit rushed, just where when the Doctor stopped the General, and the Brigadier stopped the General, and the Doctor basically says his goodbyes, and hey, you need to exchange these back, they'll give you the astronauts back. Good luck, I'm off. Seems a little rushed, which is odd for a 7-parter, but the ending does feel a little rushed. I'm kind of like, oh, that's it? Okay. But I enjoyed it. Season 7, part of it is simply the fact I love the adult nature of the story. Season 7 is unique in the Pertwee era, where it feels more grown up. Like the other seasons in the Pertwee era, while they do have some grown-up material they deal with, grown-up stories, feel like a family-friendly show. Season 8 really does this a lot. It feels very family-friendly for children and for adults, whereas Season 7 feels like it's made for adults. I mean, children can watch it, but it Spearhead from Space, Doctor Who and the Silurians, especially looking at Silurians in a post-COVID world, Ambassadors of Death and Inferno feel very adult. They deal with very adult themes. They have very adult imagery. It feels like the first season of Doctor Who that was made purely for grown-ups, really. It feels less family-friendly and more adult-oriented. like it was made for the kids who started with Doctor who might be in their mid-teens now. I don't really think we see that again until seasons 13 and 14 of course, Tom Baker's run. Season 12 still feels a little family friendly. Maybe not Ark in Space and Genesis, especially Genesis is more adult. But season 12 as a whole still feels a little more family friendly. But seasons 13 and 14 have a more adult grown feel with them and the themes they tackle. Season 7 also has that. I think that's one of the reasons I'm enjoying Ambassadors of Death. And one of the reasons, of course, I have a strong love for Inferno. I like Spearhead a lot. I enjoy Doctor Who and the Silurians, especially that ending it has. It feels more grown up. It's Doctor Who grown up for adults. That seems to be its main focus. And it has a different feel to it than any other season in the Pertwee era because of that. And I think that's making me appreciate Ambassadors of Death more. It's just the flow of the story, the way it's shot. It just has a more grown-up feel. The way Pertwee is playing the character, it feels like there's less in there for children and family-friendly and more dealing. It feels just like Doctor Who grew up is exactly how it feels. And I really like that about it. I was really impressed with the episode. The story really went through a lot through its 7 episodes, but I found the whole thing pretty enjoyable and well made. So the Ambassadors of Death. Interesting to have such a reassessment of it. Still a little long, but maybe only an episode. Definitely needs some color restoration work. Definitely needs color restoration work. And some updated effects wouldn't hurt it. Not as many as you might think, but some updated effects certainly wouldn't hurt it. But I want to know what you think. So comment down below and tell me what you think of the Ambassadors of Death. My mind's blanking. I'm half asleep. I really enjoyed it, actually. More than I thought I would. It's definitely going up in my estimates now. So comment down below and tell me what you think. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. And I definitely appreciate Colin sending this so I could rewatch it. It has been a great rewatch. I'm going to watch the making of in a minute. So I definitely want to give him an extra shout out on that. If you would like to become one of my patrons, there's a link to that down in the description below. Several different tiers to choose from. Link to my Amazon wish list is down there. That's where he sent this from. Several other goodies on there. I'd love to get a copy of The War Machines. I really want to rewatch The War Machines, and I don't own that one. And my P.O. Box is down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.